Good morning, Congressional. We're coming to you on this Friday, the 9th day of January, bringing you Morning Matters because your mornings matter. Get the stories that matter today. Thousands of devotees have joined the Procession to celebrate the feast of Jesus Nazarene. Stay tuned as we check the current situation on the ground. Minority lawmakers Laila de Lima and Edgar Erice personally appeared before the Supreme Court to file a petition for certiorari and prohibition. They are urging the High Court to declare 150 billion peso on program allocations in the 2026 national budget unconstitutional. And multiple towns across Albay are now reeling from ashfall as Mayon volcano persists in emitting thick smoke. Residents are advised to take precaution as the volcano stays at alert level 3 due to heightened activity. Welcome to our program, Morning Matters, where we talk about the issues you need to know for the rest of your day. Now, first in the agenda. Just before daybreak, the Procession of the Black Nazarene began in Manila. Devotees gathered in large numbers as the Andas started its journey, marking the official start of this year's procession. Here is the report.
Humility and devotion took center stage during the homily of Most Reverend Rufino Juncescon Jr. at the Misa Mayor of the 2026 Procession. The prelate urged devotees to follow the example of Jesus Christ, to love more deeply, and to humble oneself. This message echoed the theme of this year's feast, He must increase, but I must decrease. The theme is taken from the testimony of St. John the Baptist about Jesus Christ.
Pero paano nga ba tunay na bumaba? Alam nyo mga kapatid, may nauna na sa ating bumaba. At ito'y walang iba kung hindi si Jesus Nazareno. Una, siya ay bumaba ng kusa upang lalong magmahal. Hindi siya napilitan lamang. Kusang loob siyang bumaba dahil sa awa at pag-ibig.
The Archbishop also said that those involved in the flood control scandal should likewise learn to humble themselves.
Sa ating bayan ngayon, may mga ayaw bumaba kahit malina at bistado na. Ayaw bumaba kahit pahirap na sa bayan. Tama na. Maawa na kayo sa taong bayan.
An estimated 90,000 devotees gathered at the Quirino Grandstand to attend the Misa Mayor and express their devotion to the Black Nazarene. Each came with different intentions and prayers.
Nanggaling na rin ako dati rito, hiningi ko sa Panginoong Nazareno na gumaling yung asawa ko. Sa awa ng Diyos, gumaling naman sa cancer.
Mas mahabang buhay. Masaya, 2026. Siguro mga 8 ng gabi. Kasi may mga batang kasama. Kaya naman maghintay. Nandito na nag-iintay na di sulitin na natin Kasi once a year lang naman po ito
Some devotees were caught in a commotion last night, allegedly due to improper queuing. Several children and elderly individuals were among those trapped in the crowd. According to witnesses, some people suddenly cut into the line, triggering pushing and congestion along the route.
Maraming mga sumingit, nagtulakan, tapos talaga nawala yung totoong pila. So talagang maraming nag-stampede dun sa may daanan. May mga parang biglang dumating, tapos bigla silang madami talaga grupo.
Authorities say the Manila Police District remains on alert to ensure the safety of devotees. Medical teams are also on standby for those needing medical attention. Meanwhile, the Procession proper began peacefully in the early hours at the Quirino Grandstand. At exactly 4 a.m., the procession officially started, earlier than last year when the Procession began at around 4:41 in the morning. The andas or carriage of the Black Nazarene moved steadily out of the Quirino Grandstand. Several hijos immediately appealed to devotees to refrain from pushing. There was a brief commotion after some temporarily blocked devotees to prevent the andas from being overwhelmed. Moments later, they allowed the crowd to move forward. As the procession turned right toward Katigbak Drive, some devotees began pushing in an attempt to meet the andas. Despite this, devotees continued to offer personal prayers as part of their vows.
Para sa akin, parang himala po kasi talagang gumaling ako sa karamdaman ko. Buong pamilya na sana po gabayan kami at bigyan kami ng malakas na pangangatawan.
Panalangin ko sa Ama na gumanda pa ang mga buhay namin at maging matatag pa rin ang aming kalusugan.
The image of Jesus Nazareno departed from the Quirino Grandstand at 4 a.m., signaling the start of Procession 2026. And for updates, we have mobile journalist Evan Tarinque. Evan, nasan ka ngayon at nasaan na yung andas?
Yes, Gretchen, currently nandito tayo sa kartilya ng Katipunan, no? Bandang Finance Road. Kanina naikot natin, napuntahan natin yung andas ng Poong Jesus Nazareno kanina sa may Finance Road kung saan currently sinusubukan na ito tumawid papunta doon sa may Ayala Bridge. Pero currently, pakita natin yung current situation dito sa loob. Sa may kartilya, may kita natin, napakaraming deboto pa rin sa mga oras na ito. Ito, may kita natin, yung iba may mga talagang uniform, may mga chapter sila na magkakasama talaga. Yung iba naman, Gretchen, yung mga kapatid natin na hindi nakalapit o masyado doon sa poon ng Jesus Nazareno, ito may kita natin, may mga imahe na ganito kung saan naman dyan na lang nila ipinupunas yung kanilang mga panyo, kaya yung kanilang mga bimpo. So instead na lalapit pa sila doon, dito na lang sa mga ganitong imahe. Pero currently, ito may kita natin, sa tapat naman na itong kartilya, may kita natin yung ilang mga first aid station ng Red Cross, meron mga nakaantabay na ambulances. No? Pero so far kanina, habang papunta tayo doon, no? Habang nandoon tayo sa may exact lugar kung saan yung andas currently, nakita natin may ilang individuals na kinailangan ng mga medical assistance, no? Kasi karamihan sa kanila yung mga na-overwhelmed kasi siksikan, so kinailangan sila i-stretcher at dalhin sa mga iba't ibang medical tests. Gretchen?
Kumpara sa mga nakaraang taon, gaano karami yung taong na nagpunta ngayon at naging maayos naman ba yung pagsisimula ng translasyon?
Yes, Gretchen, according nga doon sa mga ilang mga nakausap natin na nakasalang na, yun yung term nila kung saan nakalapit na sila doon sa andas ng Jesus Nazareno, no, yung mga nakasalang na, mas mabilis daw yung andar o yung ikot ng andas nga ngayon compared nga last year, no? Kasi ngayon, mabilis actually, kasi nasa Finance Road na, alas 7 pa lang. Nagkakaroon lang ng current na kabagalan doon dahil nga mas dumami na yung mga sumalubong na mga deboto. Kasi usually ang nangyayari, gaya ng situation dito, ito makikita natin, yung ilang mga deboto, no, nagsistay sila sa isang lugar doon sa ruta ng andas at doon na nila antayin at doon na nila sasalubungin yung andas mismo para hindi na nga masyado malayo yung kanilang lalakarin na medyo masakit rin sa paa dahil lahat nga sila nakapaa currently, Gretchen.
Oo. Meron ka bang estimate number ng mga tao na nakilahok ngayon?
So far, no, Gretchen, wala pang estimate number pero it's in the thousands. No? Expected nga na aabot over 8 million or papatak ng 8 million yung magiging bilang ng deboto currently today. Pero so far, wala pang estimated number. Pero according do sa mga nakausap natin na mga sinusubukan nga makasalang dito, mas mahirap daw makapasok doon sa mismong route, sa may rope ng andas kaysa doon sa palabas. Once daw kasi na nandun ka na sa loob, pahirapan naman daw, challenge naman daw palabas noong crowd ng tao malapit doon sa andas, Gretchen.
Pero kumpara sa nakaraang taon, mas konti ba ay nagpunta this year?
It's almost the same, Gretchen, no?
Okay.
The same or more than pa, no? Expected yan sa numbers ngayon. According nga doon sa ilang ating mga nakausap na talagang deboto, mas gigil daw sila ngayon dahil nga after, 2 years, 3 years after COVID, parang ngayon pa lang daw ulit bumabalik yung talagang sigla nung translasyon. So expected nila na baka mas marami or equally karami from last year.
Pero isa sa mga nagbago dito sa tradisyon na ito ay hindi na pwedeng sumampa doon sa andas. Paano na ano na yung mga naging strategiya ng mga tao diyan para sila ay makahawak man lang?
Alam mo, Gretchen, no, ang isa talaga sa napansin natin dito, no, yung isang deboto, hindi lang sila isa pumupunta, usually grupo sila na pumupunta at talagang hawak-hawak nila yung kanilang mga shoulder, no, shoulder to shoulder sila magkakahawak papunta doon sa andas, no. Usually sila yung mga parang tatapakan nila isa't isa sa mga balikat, sa mga braso para nga makasampa doon sa andas. Kanina nakita nga rin natin, no, kahit na bawal na yung pagsampa, may mga ilang individual pa rin talaga na talaga sumusubok at nakakasampa. Ang ginagawa lang ng mga ihos na naka-estasyon doon mismo sa may andas, talagang tinutulak nila pababa para nga matanggal na or hindi na makasampa yung mga deboto sa ngayon, Gretchen.
Oo, meron pa rin bang parang special case yung image of Jesus Nazarene?
Tama ka dyan, Gretchen. No? Katulad nga nung last year, meron pa rin glass case na inilagay. Currently ngayon, no, na ginagamit pa rin ngayon, no, para nga, yun nga, maiwasan nga yung pagka-damage nung imahe. No? So, isa yan doon sa mga protocol na current na ginagamit nila, kasama nga din yung pagkakaroon nga nung manibela doon sa andas. Kaya nga, mas smooth na raw ngayon yung ikot nung andas dahil nga merong manibela na at hindi lang nakasalalay doon sa paghila ng tali na usually kasi napuputol yung tali. Umaga pa lang napuputol na yung tali. Pero currently ngayon, dahil nga meron ng steering wheel sa loob, mas nakokontrol na raw nung yung magiging ruta nung andas sa ngayon, Gretchen.
Kanina sinabi mo mas madaling makasampa o lumapit pag palabas na. Anong oras kaya inaasahan daragsa yung tao dyan? And meron na bang estimate number of hours given yung takbo ng prosesyon?
Yes, Gretchen. No? Ang nangyayari kasi dun sa mga deboto is nag-aantay lang sila dun sa specific route nung dadaanan nung andas. So currently nasa Finance Road or Ayala Bridge. No? Pero sa Ayala Bridge kasi hindi pinayagan muna yung mga deboto na makasampa hanggat wala pa doon yung andas. No? So, yung nangyayari, yung mga deboto nag-aantay sa mga ruta. May mga ruta kasi na talagang medyo masikip, no? Compared doon sa mga normal na daanan. Gaya nga nung sa may Palangka, sa may Arlegui, na every year nakikita natin na grabe yung congestion doon at grabe rin yung dami ng mga deboto at those places. Pero so far, no, Gretchen, ngayon, pinangahawakan pa rin nila na hanggang 12 hours or sana 12 hours matapos na yung traslasyon dahil nga last year isa doon sa pinakamahabang nangyari traslasyon is around 20 hours, no? So yun yung target nila so far ngayon, Gretchen.
12 hours, okay. Ilang hours na tayo?
Sa ngayon, Gretchen, 4 umalis, nasa 4 hours na rin tayong current na umaandar yung andas sa ngayon, Gretchen.
Okay, mag-ingat ka dyan at ipagdasal mo kami. Siguro, kung anong pinagdadasal ng mga tao, mamaya mo na lang ibalita sa ibang mga programa natin. Mukhang mahaba yun. Okay, maraming salamat for the updates. You have mobile journalist Ivan Tarinque. Up next, Laila De Lima and Edgar Erice of the minority bloc in Congress have taken their budget challenge to the Supreme Court. We'll discuss that and more with party list Representative Laila De Lima when Morning Matters returns. Keep it here. Good morning, Congressional here on Morning Matters. We talk about the most pressing issues and give you the context behind the headlines. Two minority lawmakers are asking the Supreme Court to strike down the remaining unprogrammed appropriations in the 2026 national budget. Camille Samonte with the report.
Minority lawmakers Laila De Lima of ML Party List and Edgar Erice of Caloocan 2nd District personally appeared before the Supreme Court to file a petition for certiorari and prohibition. They're asking the SC to declare the 150 billion peso unprogrammed appropriations in the 2026 national budget unconstitutional. Unprogrammed funds are standby items in the budget with no clear funding source. They will only be funded once there's an excess in government revenues or a foreign loan approved. Congress ratified this year's budget with 243 billion pesos unprogrammed funds, but the president vetoed 7 of 10 items worth 92.5 billion pesos. Both lawmakers are petitioning for the High Court to issue a temporary restraining order to stop the implementation of the remaining 3 items. De Lima and Erice argued that there is a grave abuse of discretion in passing the unprogrammed appropriations. They said these do not adhere to the constitutional provision mandating clear source of funding for expenditures. Petitioners stress that the charter is avoiding a situation such as the presence of unprogrammed funds. The lawmakers also wanted to declare all provisions related to unprogrammed appropriations as null and void.
Kaya kami dumudulog ngayon para mag-guide na ang Kongreso. Kasi ina-expect namin na hanggat walang walang magiging malinaw na ruling ang Supreme Court tungkol sa constitutionality ng unprogrammed appropriations na it runs in the billions. Ito ay nagiging source din ng abuso. Nakita natin yan doon sa 2025 budget. Dahil nga ay nagiging libre na kasi yung executive sa nagiging rin yan ng discretionary spending.
De Lima added that all important projects should be placed under program funds. For Erice, unprogrammed appropriations have become a potent source of corruption in infrastructure projects.
Yan yung nagamit sa pinakamalaking nakawan sa bayan. Di ba tinanggal yung mga mahalagang mga items sa NEP, inilagay sa unprogrammed funds. At yung dapat sana nating mga pinakikinabangang proyekto at programa na ng gobyerno na baliwala, napalitan ng mga ghost projects, napalitan ng mga substandard projects.
Among the respondents in the petition are Congress, the Budget Department, and Executive Secretary Ralph Recto. The DBM maintained that unprogrammed appropriations are within the bounds of the Constitution. They argued that High Court has long recognized these items as standby funds. Just what the President recently said, these are not blank checks that could be spent anytime. The DBM stressed that 150 billion peso unprogrammed appropriations for 2026 is the lowest in 7 years. Note that the President's first enacted budget in 2023 contained a whopping 807 billion for unprogrammed funds. The DBM said this year's outlay only shows that safeguards are in place in the current budget. For News 5, I'm Kapatid Camille Samonte. We are One News.
And joining us now to talk about that and more, we have Mamamayan Liberal Party List Representative Leila De Lima. Welcome back to Morning Matters. A Happy New Year to you.
Good morning. Happy New Year, Gretchen. Good morning to your viewers.
You've hit the ground running as the 2026 starts, filing a petition before the Supreme Court, seeing the removal of the unprogrammed appropriations in the 2026 budget. What were the grounds in your petition that would deem it unconstitutional?
Okay. Actually, it violated some of the grounds that we cited in our Constitution is that it violated a provision in the Constitution, Article 7, Section 2, that, that the budget, the national budget should be based both on a budget of expenditures as well as sources of funding. There should be identifiable, guaranteed sources of funding. And then another provision of the Constitution says that if it has to be a special appropriation, then there has to be a certification from the National Treasurer about the availability of funding, and also about the violation of the prohibition against riders. And more importantly is that it violates separation of powers. It weakens, it undermines congressional power of the purse. Because, the budget structure, constitutional budget structure, parang binaliktad na dito sa paglalagay ng mga unprogrammed appropriations all these years. Because as far as I know, it's in the 1989 GAA that the unprogrammed appropriations have been placed in the annual budget. But it started as just a modest, discretionary, contingency reserve. But it has ballooned all through the years. And in fact, in 2016, actually, mababa pa noon, in 2016, 67.5 billion. But as pointed out by former Secretary Butch Abad, it ballooned to 807 billion in 2023. And then in 2025, naging 363, although nabawasan na ngayon in the 2026 because of the veto of about 90.5 billion. But there still remains billions, 150.9 billion. Now, it's under the constitutional scheme of things, it is Congress that authorizes spending. And in authorizing spending, the budget, the annual budget, national budget, has to state already both not only the budget of expenditures, but also the sources of funding. And it is the executive that executes the spending. And then it is COA that checks on the spending, that audits the spending. So that is the constitutional scheme of things when it comes to public funds, when it comes to the national budget. But here, when you allow a program appropriations which does not yet provide for guaranteed, identifiable sources of funding, then you allow the executive to complete the power of the purse, to complete the budget making, when the budget making is supposed to be lodged exclusively with Congress. Because the whole budget process, of course, starts with the executive submitting its proposed budget. It's called proposed budget. I mean, the National Expenditure Program is just the proposed budget for scrutiny by Congress, for approval of Congress. And it's Congress that scrutinizes. And when Congress scrutinizes, it looks into the line items, it looks into the various expenditures, and also the sources of funding. But here, the unprogrammed appropriations, which are actually lump sums, then when you allow this unprogrammed appropriations, then you allow also the executive to have greater discretion on how to spend it, where to spend it, which specific projects to spend it. And that's why it has become the source of the diversions and the corruption in the 2025. And that's why in the 2026 budget, medyo naging maingat na rin. And we saw that in the vetoing by the president, the veto by the president of most of the items. Because it used to be 11 items.
But Congresswoman,
down to 3.
On the first point that you mentioned of having specific expenditures and sources of funding, the DBM has actually responded to this, citing the 2019 ruling by the Supreme Court, Belhica versus Executive Secretary, where the program appropriations were deemed constitutional because they are accompanied by an annex that specifies public purposes and corresponding amounts for which the funds may be used, and that these are sourced only from excess or windfall revenues released strictly upon meeting clearly defined fiscal conditions and validation requirements. Doesn't this allow us some flexibility over unused funds?
Well, in citing that, the so-called excess revenues, these are not yet in existence at the time of the enactment. So it's contingent. It's not just there. And again, it violates the constitutional provision that there has to be sources of funding, identified, guaranteed sources of funding. So that makes it violative of that provision. Yes, there is that ruling, but what we seek now is a categorical ruling, given the fact that this kind of appropriations, unprogrammed appropriations, has been ballooning in recent years, and we also saw how it has become the source of corruption.
You also cited in your petition
the wide level of discretion given to the executive instead of fixed standards, and instead of already being scrutinized at the level of Congress during the budget process at the level of Congress.
Now, I wanted to talk about that point, yung discretion, because in your petition, correct me if I'm wrong, you also cited grave abuse of discretion. Who exactly holds that discretion once these funds are activated?
Well, in enacting the budget, It's, of course, Congress, and that's why we pleaded Senate and the House of Representatives through its leaders. And then, of course, in the executive is the executive secretary and the DBM secretary, because they will be the ones to be executing, also implementing at the first instance the unprogrammed appropriations. Once the so-called excess revenues will be there, and then they would have the discretion, the authority to implement. And then they have the wide discretion again to determine exactly where to spend it, how to spend it, and then the specific amounts for each specific project. That should be at their level. So both the executive and the legislative. And we feel that under the expanded scope of judicial review, the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court, then the Supreme Court can very well take cognizance of this petition, especially that we are raising an issue of constitutionality. And we all know that that the Supreme Court has the jurisdiction to declare any law unconstitutional, or to resolve the issue of constitutionality of any law. And GAA, the General Appropriations Act, is a law.
Well, the president has already vetoed 7 line items in the UA. Do you think we can do away without the other 3? That's the AFP modernization program, program on risk management, and government support to foreign-assisted projects. Kapag tinanggal po yun, saan po kaya maaaring kunin? Because we do know that, for one, the AFP modernization program is vital to fund.
One of our significant points, we've been raising that. Doon pa lang, Gretchen, doon pa lang sa pag-consider ng House GAB, yung General Appropriations Bill at the House level, ay nag-oppose na kami. I voted no. And also Congressman Erice. We voted no, principally because of the existence of unprogrammed appropriations. And then nung pag-ratify ng BICAM report, we voted no. And ang palagi naming sinasabi, now, kung talagang, kasi kung mga importante talaga yan, we recognize, lalo na yung, the modernization program, and also yung sa mga support to foreign assisted projects. Importante yan. So dapat binalagay na yan sa programmed appropriations. Why put it at unprogrammed appropriations? O kung hindi pa kaya at the time of the enactment because of, insufficient fiscal space, for example. But I don't think it's enough of an excuse na sasabihin na lang na hindi pa kaya. Why not already specify a particular amount for this important projects? O kaya, well, later, if excess revenues come in and then there are loans, because that's another source of possible funding of unprogrammed appropriations, is just ask special appropriations, supplemental budget from Congress, so that Congress, in pursuance of its mandate, would scrutinize the budget being sought, and not leave it entirely to the executive. So those are the choices. Either include them already in the programmed appropriations, just like the rest. Kasi meron kung nagsasama dyan ng mga hindi naman ganun ka-importante, I'm sure we would be able to identify programmed appropriations not that important as those under the assistance to foreign assisted projects and revised modernization program. And ilagay na dapat yan sa program appropriations, or again, if hindi pa kaya, if they can justify that na hindi pa kaya, then supplemental, special appropriations. That's all we've been saying. But please, let's do away already, once and for all, with this practice of putting this unprogrammed appropriations, which we firmly believe are really violative of the Constitution, the separation of powers, undermine the budgetary process, undermine the congressional power of the purse.
I want to go to another topic. A colleague of yours from Congress has revealed that congressmen get bonuses during breaks. We came from the Christmas break. Is this true that congressmen get budget for their districts to take home after every break?
Well, there are additional amounts, say during Christmas, that are being also given, but the regular ones are the MOOE and some other expenses or expenditures or benefits for the members of Congress. Kung mayroong 13th month pay ang mga staff and mga personnel, then the members of the lawmakers are also entitled to those kinds of bonuses. But as to the exact amount, last Christmas, I don't think I can really determine that. Basta meron din mga extra aside from the MOOE. But what we regularly get are really, aside from the salary, are the MOOE for the operational expenses of our offices and the extra amounts for the operations of districts on the part of the district representatives. And of course, sa mga party list representatives, that's part also of the MOOE and additional needs and operations for the sectors under the party list.
So lahat po itong mga bonuses, no, they are sourced from the MOOE?
Not really all. I'm not sure about that, but that's really part of the MOOE. But the bulk of that is really part of the MOE. That's what I know. That's what I know.
Well, we do know that the MOOE has been controversial because it does not require some kind of very specific line item expenditure purpose. In the same way, medyo vague po yung yung paggastos dito. It's only requiring liquidation via certification. Isn't this also prone to abuse?
Yes,
yung mga bonuses po.
Well, theoretically, yes. So it behooves on individual members of Congress, the lawmakers themselves, on how to judiciously spend and properly spend the MOOE because it's only subjected to certain certifications and not really itemized auditing. Yes, perhaps it's time to make to revisit that policy.
And where does your good office spend this budget? How do you apportion that extra budget?
Operational expenses because we have sectors also covered, and then we of course consultants, and then operational expenses of the office, administrative, and researches, our employees, our staff, and then we have extra staff because of, again, researches and political activities, political operations in dealing with the sectoral organizations that our party list represent. Because there are also, sectoral consultations, sectoral dialogues in terms of crafting the sectoral bills, and even with respect to national bills. It's always good, it's always advisable to consult certain organizations, the stakeholders, whenever you craft a particular bill. And there are operational expenses that are needed.
And given how it has served your office, iba pa po yung sa bonuses, no, doon po sa operational. Are you for this? Itong mga binababa po ng mga bonuses every break?
Well, it's very difficult because those are, lawmakers can argue that we work hard we perform our functions and we work hard in terms of fulfilling our mandate, and therefore from time to time maybe we are entitled to some extra amounts. It depends now on how the leadership would be able to look at it, in terms of motivating hard work on the part of members of Congress. Pero iba kasi yan, Gretchen, no? It also depends on how the leadership would look at the whole operations of the institution.
And who decides how much is given to whom?
And I'm not sure about that. Perhaps the leadership. Yes.
And would you have an estimate as to how much your office gets in terms of these bonuses?
I don't have an estimate now because I don't really keep track of it. I can look at the records maybe, but not at the moment.
Some would say that dito po nagkakaroon din ng overlap, no, in role because as legislators, kung nagbibigyan po kayo ng pondo pangbalik sa inyong distrito o party list, isn't that the role supposedly of the executive? In the same argument that you have on the unprogrammed appropriations, na napupunta yung pag-allocate ng budget sa executive. Dito naman, yun din ang pinupuna. Dito sa mga bonus, na nagkakaroon din ng overlap in function and role, na dapat hindi naman nag-distribute or nagbibigay ng pondo ang mga legislators to their districts. What would you argue on that?
You have of course a point, Gretchen. But on the ground, on reality, there are actually needs of the district, for example, in dealing with the constituents, in attending to the needs of the constituents. There are extra expenses that can be incurred by the district lawmakers and even by the party list lawmakers. But I think the bottom line again here is maybe we can really revisit all of these policies so that we can come up with a more reasonable, a balanced way of looking at all of this and how to spend also the budget of Congress and the balancing how district representatives, party list representatives perform their respective functions. Of course, the main mandate is lawmaking, but the reality, again, as I said, there are constituents to serve and there are needs to serve. But then, again, because there has to be really a clearer way and a more ideal way in addressing how to do away with patronage politics. Kasi kultura na yan, nandyan na yan, dekada na ilang dekada na yan, nandyan. So, lagi natin yan riniraise. Maraming nagre-raise niyan, lalo na ngayon. Then sa kasi nga nagballoon yung mga soft pork, the so-called soft pork. So, I think now is the time to really gradually think of systems and mechanisms on how to really gradually do away with sources of pork barrel. And that includes a revisit also on how Congress spends its own internal budget. I'll go for that. I would not say now na malinis lahat ang ginagawa. I cannot say that. I have no I'm not privy to how exactly the whole budgetary operations of Congress, of the House of Representatives. I'm a new member of the House. So I'm all for that, to revisit all of these policies and mechanisms para unti-unti na nating maalis. Because it cannot be done overnight. Yung pag-aalis ng kultura na yan ng patronage politics. In the same manner na I could imagine na magkakahirapan, although it's really imperative, yung pagpasa ng anti-political dynasty bill because it goes hand in hand with the problem, with the challenges in addressing political patronage, both the eradication of political dynasties as well as political patronage. Kasi magkasama yan. These are tied to each other.
Okay. Aasahan po namin kayo sa Kongreso na bantayan ang mga funds na yan. No? Maraming salamat for joining us this morning on the first week of the year. We have Laila De Lima, representative of the Mamamayang Liberal Party List. Acclaimed Filipino-American businesswoman, lawyer, author, and philanthropist Loida Nicholas Lewis has released her latest book. We'll talk more about that with Loida herself as she joins us live in the studio here on Morning Matters. Don't go away. We'll be back after this quick break. Keep it here. Welcome back. You're still watching Morning Matters here on One News. Acclaimed Filipino-American businesswoman, lawyer, author, and philanthropist Loida Nicholas Lewis has released her latest book, Look Younger When You're Older, No Botox, No Surgery, Philippine edition. The book has been available nationwide since December 1st, and the idea took shape during Lewis's promotional tour for her 2023 memoir, Why Should Guys Have All the Fun? When audiences were often surprised to learn that she was already 80 years old. Repeatedly asked about her youthful appearance and energy, Lewis decided to share her personal self-care habits, daily routines, and mindset that have helped her stay vibrant throughout the years. Now, through the book, she hopes to inspire readers, especially younger generations, to live healthier, happier, and to embrace aging with confidence and grace. Talk more about her book. We have her in the studio to inspire us all this Friday morning. We have Loida Nicholas Lewis. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Gretchen, for having me.
I join everybody else in their surprise to find out that you are 80 years old.
Yes.
And this was a reaction in your book tours, in your first book, right? Anong sinasabi ng mga tao and how was that encounter for you?
Yes, they always ask me, why did you write the book, Why Should Guys Have All the Fun? Your memoir. So I said, when I was 60, I promised myself by 75, I'll have my memoir. And then I reached 75, 76, 77. Sabi ko, no, I have to do it when I'm 80. And I did. And every time I say that, what? You're 80? So sabi ko, that's my next book. Look younger when you're older. No Botox, no surgery.
So you've always wanted to write this book with this
The second book, no. No, it was my memoir that was my goal. But everywhere I went, I was here last year, I was in Europe, I was in the United States, all over. And the question comes up, why did you write your memoir? Why should guys have all the fun? And when I tell that story that I'm 80, everybody says, what? You're 80? Walang wrinkles? Sabi ko, that's my next book. Look younger when you're older, no Botox, no surgery.
Before we go to your second book, bakit nga po ba? Why was your memoir entitled that way? Why should guys have all the fun?
Okay. When
That's unique.
When I passed the bar, well, I graduated from UP College of Law, and then I passed the bar. My father was so happy because that was his dream for himself. But he went into business, Francisco Nicolas. So I passed the bar. Loida, you are now, I'll send you on a round the world trip, and then when you come back here, we'll start your career. Because when I was 7 years old, he had a movie in Sorsogon named after me, Loida Theater. So that when I'm ready to run for public office, I already have name recognition. And so, yes, got to the United States. My mother and I were there. And destiny has another path for me because that's where I met my future husband, Reginald Lewis. Harvard Law School. We met on a blind date, and 7 months later, we were married, 1969. So that's the story. And 15 years later, Mr. Lewis bought $1 billion company, the first African American, or really the first American to buy $1 billion company outside the United States, Beatrice International. And we lived in Paris, lived the life of the rich and famous, and 5 years later, Mr. Lewis died. I was totally discombobulated. And I'm so glad I am Catholic, I'm Christian, because I never lost faith in God. And so after 1 year, I have gotten myself together. I said, I will run the company. So I became CEO of Beatrice International, $1 billion company. And I ran it for 7 years. Liquidated the company. The goal was paying debt, so we had 0 debt. And I sold everyone, and I got $1 billion back.
Wow.
So that's more or less, I said, I am an immigrant. I am Filipina, Asian. Asian Americans at that time were subject of Asian hate. And so I said, the book should be, why should guys have all the fun? An Asian American, so they have to know, an Asian American is just like anybody else. I fell in love, I got married, I have children, and I ran $1 billion empire.
This is your message to the world.
My message to the world, especially in America.
So it is a book on women empowerment. Your life.
It's a book of someone who could overcome hurdles, including death of my beloved. So I want people to know that whatever comes your way, if you have faith in God and you work hard, you will succeed.
And this second book is a book on overcoming aging.
Yes, this second book, Why Should Guys Have All the Fun, is not only about facial.
Look younger when you're older.
You should look younger when you're older. And you should start now. Sasabihin, I'm 60. Start at 60.
So what's the secret?
The secret is, yes, you have to decide. You have to decide whether you'll do it now, whatever age you are. All right? So, well, it's chapter 1, chapter 2. Moisturize, spray your face.
I hear my mom. my mom's probably watching.
Yes. And then the most important is that internal. Okay? The past is always the past. The future you don't know. So live on the present. And have faith in God that everything will be all right in the end. Because if it's not all right, it's not the end. So laging may hope. Trust in God. Diretsong lakad. Mabubuti ang buhay mo. So it's internal and external.
Why was it important for you to emphasize no Botox, no surgery? It's on the front page. It's on the cover.
Especially here in the Philippines, people are so concerned about being white, having wrinkles. And so those who can afford it, they go for Botox. They go for surgery just to look young because, it's a young culture. But all I'm saying is that there's no need for you to spend that much. You can remain, youthful like I am. I have no Botox. I've never gone to surgery. But every day, do what I have read in the book. Do it every day. But the most important is mental attitude. All right? You will have disappointments. You'll have failures. You'll have tragedy. You will have betrayals. Okay? Of course, you cry. You weep. Go with the flow. But afterwards, that's the past. The future is good.
Let go of the past. Let go of the hurts.
Huwag kang parang ulit ng ulit sa isip mo anong ginawa sa'yo, yung sinabi sa'yo.
Lahat ng galit.
Yung galit mo. Okay? Siyempre natural, magagalit ka. Natural, iiyak ka. Natural, masakit ang puso. But why dwell in the past? Okay, so it's very important to look youthful and have joy in your life. Every day, thank you, Lord, another day. Okay, so you have joy. because you have God and develop friendships. Tayong mga Filipino, lagi tayong may mga barkada. So yung barkada mo, kailangan pareho ng isip mo rin. Kung sila, pag nagsaan nila, alam mo ba ito, blah, 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 ito, blah. I mean, toxic yan. It's toxic.
Lumayo ka.
Layo ka. Bakit mo, why are you going to put mud or anger or...
And what kind of friends should they look for?
Well, yung kapareho mo. Pareho ko. I have culture friends, people who love to go to Broadway, go to movies, go to opera. I have friends in politics na, we campaign for somebody we like. I have friends from high school. Okay? I have friends when we live in Paris. We talk each other as much as possible once a week on the internet. Okay? Para bang confessional.
And you move in those circles, high society. Isn't doesn't that put a lot of pressure on you to, put up appearances and all?
No. You treat people everywhere the same. Why? Because they are also children of God. So you treat a driver, household help, and president of the United States. It's not that presidente ka, I'll treat you different. Ikaw, basurero, different. Everyone is a child of God. So, they have a story to tell. They have tragedies. So, hindi mo, huwag kang matapobre. Because maybe you will also be poor. And if you're poor, do you want to be treated na hindi ka tao? So, you treat everybody as you want to be treated. Okay?
What's part of your diet?
When I was 60, I decided I won't eat rice anymore. So, when I decided, ayoko na ng rice, wow, my body reacted. Para bang, hindi pwede. Okay, so, ang ginawa ko, first year, wala nang second serving. So, I eat everything, pero walang second serving. Second year, isang tasa lang ng rice. For one whole year. Third year, kalahating tasa na lang.
Dahan-dahan.
Fourth year, 1/4. Fifth year, wala nang rice.
Hindi niya na hinahanap.
Okay, I can eat Filipino food except kare-kare.
Do you eat everything?
Huh?
You don't?
No, vegetables. And for rice, kailangan, if you're meat or chicken or pork, kalaki na isang palad. Yun lang. And then plenty of vegetable. 0 points ang vegetable.
What's your exercise?
Exercise, yoga. Yoga.
Every day?
I try every day. I try. Now that I am 80, I hired a physical therapist 3 times a week for 30 days.
And how do you keep yourself sharp? You are a lawyer, of course, an author. How do you keep yourself mentally sharp?
So of course, I read books. Basically, mga memoirs. Okay, so my goal is to read at least 10 books a year. Now, I'm averaging 12 books. Wow. So siguro ngayon, I'll average 15 books. Okay, so, and then read the New York Times. Read what's current, and choose, please. Huwag yung false news. Regular news that you think are telling you the truth. New York Times. I don't read Wall Street Journal kasi napaka-conservative.
Do you read about Philippine politics?
Of course. Inquirer and ABS-CBN.
Doesn't it stress you out? I mean, hearing what's happening here back home.
Of course. With Trump in the Philippines disobeying or violating the Constitution.
And how do you deal with all of those external forces?
Well, I do what I can. All right? So, I said, for those candidates in the United States, I want United States to turn blue, not Republican, but Democrat or independent. And so, those that I think that have a chance of winning, I send a little thing. And then, I have a political group in the United States, U.S. Filipinos for Good Governance. And then there's also, by Celia Lamkin, National Youth Movement for the West Philippine Sea. So you have to be active. We are part of society. Kailangan, bumoto. Una muna mag-register at bumoto. At wag pagbibi. Don't sell yung mga nanonood. wag naman yung ipagbibili ang inyong boto.
Value-centric life. That's
Yes.
what keeps Lloyd Lewis young.
That's it. Exactly.
Is there a love that keeps you alive?
Huh? Love of God, love of neighbor, and the love of my life, Reginald Lewis.
Only one.
Only one. Isa lang ang Gloria.
Isa lang ang love of your life.
Isa lamang.
So, ang advice niyo po sa akin, wag na rin po ako
No, 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 no.
mag-love life.
This is, no. Choose love. Use your head. Huwag ka namang loka. I mean, married, don't be,
Hindi ba nakaka-stress yun?
Don't be stupid, mga babae.
Hindi ho ba
Don't be
nakaka-stress
stupid.
yun? If you choose the wrong partner, you certainly age faster.
Yes, you are, puros consumption. But, you have to, because, siyempre, in our marriage, in my marriage, siyempre, ang daming, another woman, etc., jealousy, the temper of Mr. Lewis is like, blip, 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 puros mura. So, I have to decide, mahal ko ba siya? Mahal ko. Mahal ba niya ako? Mahal ko. So, don't sweat the small stuff. Okay? Don't sweat the small stuff. Mahal ka, provides for you, provides for the children, you live a good life. Don't sweat the small stuff. And if you're jealous, love is kind, love is patient, love does not keep a record of wrongs. Love is forever.
You remind me of my grandmother, my late grandmother, who lived on till 86. And she's very much like you, always grateful, always joyful. At ganyan po, ang lagi yung sinasabi, thank you Lord, lagi tayo magpasalamat.
Ayan, sinabi
bago
niya,
mangyari.
always grateful, always joyful. That's the secret of keeping young.
Where can we find your book? Where can we buy your book?
I will have a personal appearance at the Shangri-La Plaza. And this is published by the National Bookstore. So if you go to the National Bookstore, they have this book. It's 499 pesos.
National Bookstore.
National Bookstore.
And last po, before I let you go, can you repeat your skincare routine? Is sunblock in there?
Oh, syempre. And smile.
Okay.
Moisturizer. Spray. Okay. Sunblock, yes. And smile.
And a smile.
Smile.
Ganun lang kasimple.
Choose joy in your life.
Hindi naman humahal.
Walang mahal.
To stay healthy.
No Botox.
And you're perfectly healthy. Wala po kayo nararamdaman.
I weigh myself every day. Why? Kasi pag hindi, isang linggo, 1 pound. Another month, 2 pounds ka na. 3 pounds. Before you know it, 20 pounds ka na. So, weigh yourself every day.
It seems like you track a lot of your habits, no? Do you journal as well?
I journal every day.
That's
Ang
why.
journal kasi, para bang you pray to God, sinusulat mo. Okay? What made you happy, what made you sad. Consolation, desolation, Jesuit yun. Examine.
Oh, so now I understand the habits and why you have lived beautifully till 80 and more. So for everyone, please do get a hold of your copy. Look younger when you're older. No Botox, no surgery. That's Lloyd Nicholas Lewis's latest book, and you can find that in National Bookstores. Thank you so much for inspiring us today.
Thank you,
and
Gretchen.
sharing your secrets to staying young and looking young, even when you're 80. Maraming salamat po sa inyong oras. We have, again, Lloyd Nicholas Lewis, author of the book, Look Younger When You're Older, No Botox, No Surgery, and that does it for this week's episode of Morning Matters. We hope we've given you the right start to your morning. Let's go ahead and make the day matter. My name is Gretchen Ho. Kapatid, we are one news, all sides, all the time. Don't forget to moisturize and pray and be grateful.
Thank you.